Hi guys, today I wanted to do a video about intermittent fasting, IF for short, and I wanted to share with you 5 of the most common mistakes that people make when they first get started. I've been doing intermittent fasting for many years, I would say decades, and long before it became fashionable in the keto, paleo, or carnivore community. It was just kind of my natural instinct not to follow the rule of eating, 5 meals a day, 3 meals and 2 snacks, and to be grazing all day long. It just never felt right or natural to me. I always suffered from a lot of digestive issues, and eating all the time just made these things much worse for me. So I naturally just kind of gravitated towards eating most of the time 2 meals a day. I've seen many different benefits to eating this way. It has helped tremendously with my digestive issues, with keeping the weight off, and just feeling healthier and lighter overall. Not having to put this burden on my body that it has to be digesting all day long and all night long. So it has worked very well for me. So I wanted to give you like 5 things that people make a mistake about when they're first getting started, and hopefully this will give you a smoother transition into having a great experience with intermittent fasting. So the first thing that I wanted to mention that a lot of people do is they actually undereat. So the window that many people use for intermittent fasting would be 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating. And what happens is during those 8 hours, a lot of people are just not eating enough calories because they're used to eating from morning till sundown, and most people will need say 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. And because you're eating it in a shorter window, a lot of people are also limiting calories. So intermittent fasting should not be about reducing calories. It should be about eating normally and making sure that you get the calories that your body needs so that you don't go into starvation mode when the body would actually start storing fat. So you need to make sure you keep your calories up and not to cut back. The second thing is the opposite of this, is not to eat too much. So not to overdo the calories that you're taking in, being in this panic state mode that, oh my God, I'm gonna starve, especially if you're doing a smaller window of fasting, or OMAD, for example. A lot of people are doing just 1 meal a day, and the 1 meal a day, they try to really overextend themselves and eat like 10,000 calories so they can make it for 24 hours without having any more food. So they're actually overdoing it, which can also be an issue and will lead to weight gain eventually. So even if you're just having 1 meal, you still need to kind of stick to the calories that would be beneficial to your body. I don't really believe in the calories in, calories out theory, but still there's a point where your basic needs are not being met and the body goes into starvation mode. And obviously, if you're overdoing it, especially overdoing with the sugar and the carbs, then your body will be gaining weight, even if you're just eating once a day. So those are very important things to pay attention to. The third mistake people make with intermittent fasting is having most of their calories or their window of eating too late into the evening. So I would suggest moving that window earlier and not having your main meal or your largest meal late in the evening, or 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or sometimes even later. What happens is the insulin response of your body will be much different in the evening than during the day. So for example, you could have the same meal at lunchtime as you would have at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, and your body will process it completely differently. Even if you're cutting back carbs and you're only having meat and fat, for example, for dinner, you will still have an insulin response, and it could signal your body to store fat, which you probably don't want if you're doing intermittent fasting. So if you can do your window earlier on during the day, I would highly recommend that. I'm really a big fan of not eating anything after sundown. So try to have your last meal before the sun sets. Hopefully you're not in Iceland or Finland during the winter and then you have to have your meals before noon. But this is just something to think about that could make a really big difference, especially if your goal is to lose weight. The fourth mistake many people make, and I've been guilty of this myself, especially when I'm fasting, water fasting, for example, is that you tell everyone what you're doing. And then what happens when you tell everyone, and for example, your window ends at 4 o'clock, 4 p.m., everyone will be trying to feed you at 5 p.m. This is very sad, but it's very true. And I know every time I'm water fasting, I try to just keep it low and not tell anyone about it, because the minute I do, someone's going to be trying to shove some food down my throat. So this is just a small little tip, but it can make a really big difference. Once you're like a seasoned faster or intermittent faster, this is not an issue. And right now, the way I am, and I'm so used to doing this regularly, anybody can tempt me with any kind of food. It's not going to bother me in any way. But in the beginning, I think it's better to just not share the information with anyone until your body gets used to it. Then you don't have anyone sabotaging your efforts. The fifth mistake people often make with intermittent fasting is not checking with their doctor and not looking at their medications that they're taking. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, for example, your blood pressure could be reduced through intermittent fasting. Therefore, your medication would also have to be adjusted. Same thing with diabetics. It's quite possible that your insulin levels will change, also your blood glucose levels. So it's important to keep checking these things and to check with your doctor, and also to make sure that you're on the right dose of medication. Hopefully intermittent fasting will help you tremendously in healing some of these ailments that you may have been battling, and if it can work to help reduce some of your medications, that's a wonderful bonus. But always just err on the side of caution and double check everything and make sure you're under the care of a good doctor or a naturopath, and make sure that the dosage is right for you for your medications. The thing is, I think with intermittent fasting and with just life in general, you should eat when you're hungry, drink when you're thirsty, and not force anything else. So these are sometimes just bad habits that we form, and because you're used to all this snacking, try to stay off the snacks while you're doing the intermittent fasting, because if you're still eating all day within that window, you're kind of defying the purpose of trying to give your body a rest. So my advice is always eat when you're hungry, and only when you're hungry, and when you're full, stop eating. If you look at humans, if you look at the history of humans, I mean, we were hunters-gatherers, and when we were out there hunting, we would catch a prey, and then everyone would sit down and start feasting, and everyone would eat until they were about to explode probably, and then after that would come the fasting until we were able to catch another animal. So we were never accustomed to eating all day throughout the day. We're not grazing animals, we're not cows, we're not goats. So it's not normal for humans to be eating all day long. I think this whole myth was sold to us by the food industry because, you know, they want to sell us all the snacks and the breakfast cereals and all these things that just keep raising our insulin levels and making us hungry all the time, so that we keep eating and eating and eating. So if you're making the right food choices during your intermittent fasting, you're eating enough fat so that you feel satisfied, you really shouldn't be eating like every 2 hours, every couple of hours. It just doesn't make any sense. So guys, keep it simple. Keep your windows as flexible as you can. You know, if you can keep a shorter window, even better, because then you're spending more time fasting. If you want to give OMAD, 1 meal a day, a try, that's absolutely fantastic as well. It works great for some people. It doesn't work so well for others, so you don't know until you try it for yourself. But eat healthy foods. Try to eat organic foods as much as possible. Make sure you're eating enough fat. Fats are crucial, super important for your skin, for your hormones, for everything. So please don't fear fat, and I'm talking good fats here. Give intermittent fasting a try. If you guys enjoyed this video and would like to have more information about fasting, intermittent fasting, health, beauty, anti-aging, and find out more how you can keep your youthful, beautiful appearance into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, please like and subscribe below. If you'd like to share some of your stories with us about intermittent fasting or some tips and experiences, please comment below. Thanks so much for watching.